So YouTube's favourite big boy, Boogie2988, has decided to go down the regressive rabbit hole in regards to free speech, what people can and cannot say to each other. I can't say that I am surprised. Boogie decided to come out and tweet what he's tweeted, considering how he's done so before and was completely cooked by Nita Sarkeesian. It's amazing how, being bullied by her and her movement, he still chooses to parrot their talking points and ideology, as if somehow pandering to the woke brigade will somehow grant him forgiveness and brownie points. Sorry Boogie, but when it comes to straight white males like you, these people don't turn the other cheek. So essentially, Boogie was elaborating on a stream that he had done online just prior to these tweets. Why he would choose to elaborate on Twitter is, well, anyone's guess, but nonetheless, he chose to do so let's just get stuck into them. And he says here, let me try that again. Tonight, I discussed the UK hate speech laws that would affect trans people. I discussed both sides of the thing and presented possible arguments against it on stream. If you see clips from tonight's streams, do not be suckered into thinking it's real. Now, this is Boogie setting up the context. As mentioned before, he talked about this in the stream and allegedly discussed both sides. Fair enough, he did so. However, later on, we get the woke takes. I personally think if you are accidentally misgendering someone, it's a non-starter. If you're purposely, angrily doing it, I think a slap on the wrist, misdemeanor, is well within order though. If it's actual hate speech, then go fuck yourself. Lock 'em up. So here Boogie is essentially on the side of the UK government and police, who believe that if you insult anyone who is not white, male, cisgendered, or Christian/atheist, you should be arrested. They only differ on the punishment because in Britain you can and will be fined or locked up for anything that they or the injured parties perceive to be offensive or hate speech. The word perceive is important and we'll elaborate on that later. What is interesting is that Boogie fails in the entire tweet threads that he makes to define hate speech. What the hell is hate speech, Boogie? Because just angrily, purposefully misgendering someone is considered hate speech against transgender people over here, so should I be arrested for that? Or do you mean expressing violent intent upon these people like what happened in Rwanda between the Hutus and the Tutsis? Because yes, that is definitely something that ought to be punished if you're encouraging someone to commit violence against another group. It's just a shame that transgender activists, Islamists, far leftists, etc. do this on a daily basis in this country and always seem to get away with it. I don't know, Boogie. Perhaps you shouldn't be discussing countries that you are clearly ignorant of. I don't expect that opinion to be popular, but it's how I feel. I'm biased though. I'll never ever verbally assault someone or purposefully misgender someone, so it literally can't affect me. I can't imagine why anyone who would either.
That's where you're wrong, kiddo.
He's aware that he's going against the grain. I mean, to be honest, he wouldn't look out of place over here. A very large amount of people genuinely believe the same way he does. But to be honest, I think he's just bullshitting us here about where his bias comes from. I think it's very clear why he's biased. And I think just looking at what he is now and what he was before will answer your question. Let's move on. In response to somebody asking him about what his content's going to be from now on, or what he does, 80% gaming, 20% culture war. Since they're intermingling these days, it's difficult not to talk about the culture war. Stick to gaming, Boogie, you are clueless. I want you and myself to speak freely. But I don't want anyone to make a living off purposely misgendering and attacking people based on their identity, verbally assaulting people. I'm surprised anyone would want that, or want to do that either. Cognitive dissonance is strong in this one, my friends. He wants us to speak freely, but he also wants to engage in coercive speech and tell us who we can and cannot refer to people who aren't cisgendered. He labels this verbal assault, but what does this even entail? How is calling someone who thinks they are a she a he verbal assault? Is it verbal assault if I heard multiple expletives their way? I don't know. Boogie doesn't elaborate, he doesn't explain. And if he doesn't want people making money off attacking other groups, why is he parroting intersectional feminist arguments? They have a literal industry where they have made it profitable to attack men and boys. Yeah, perhaps you ought to think about that, Boogie. Well, the free speech debate is taking place in my mentions, which is great, but it's devolving into personal attacks and name-calling. Someone called me a melon again, lol. So hitting eject. Still feel how I feel. Wish we used freedom of speech to be kind to each other. Boogie turning on the persona here. He loves to make out he's just this hippy-dippy dude who just wants everyone to be excellent to each other, Bill and Ted style, whilst he longs for a communist-style coerced speech laws and hate speech laws so we can't be mean to each other or speak about important topics. Yet he wants us to speak freely, guys, okay? This is the inherent problem with this concept. In the UK, the entire premise of hate speech is based on perception. It is an entirely subjective law and not an objective law. Therein lies the problem. A law that is subjective is dangerous because it can be used and abused by anybody and be made to punish people who in actuality have done little to nothing wrong, but due to the subjective nature can be punished for anything. It is how Dankula got arrested for his jokes. Sorry to disappoint, I spent a lifetime being verbally assaulted online. Strangers, my own parents. The damage it did to me is untold. I have no problems with jokes. Make joke, go for it. But verbal assault, I got no room for that shit in my life. And that is in response to Dankula. And as I previously theorised, it has been proven. And Boogie, under hate speech laws, as you are fully aware, as you know what happened to Dankula, jokes also fall under hate speech. You may feel personally damaged by the verbal abuse that was done to you. That is not right. But to then say that people being mean to each other using words should be punishable offence, an illegal act, is pathological authoritarianism. People should have the right to air their opinions about people regardless if it hurts feelings or not. It is how we grow as a society and how we weed out the extremists. You will simply push these people underground. You will create more extremists by censoring them. He then goes on to say, "This is why I don't talk about this stuff. People like this take it in and spin it. I said no one should go to jail for accidental misgendering. A slap on the wrist for doing it purposefully. Jail time for verbal assault, and I mean like a drunk tank, not prison." He is literally summarising what you actually said. Do you know what a slap on the wrist by the fucking police even entails? Are you that socially retarded? No, you are not, because you wouldn't be a highly successful YouTuber if you were. A slap on the wrist? A punishment for a misdemeanour means a trip down to the station and a caution. And yes, by verbal assault, that can also mean misgendering. Not at all, he says. I don't make public policy. I'm not a politician. Just expressing how I personally feel. Thank God you are not. Look, so Count Dankula and his freedom of speech warriors are furious with me today. So here is my final statement. Take it how you want. Jokes, debate, criticism, etc. I'm fine with. Slander, threats, verbal assault, I am not. I don't know if we should legislate it, but I hate it. Threats, slander, libel, no country considers them to be under free speech. We already have laws against that. Unfortunately, what you term verbal assault, jokes, debate, criticism, all fall under the subjective term, as well as hate speech. God, it's like a broken record. And by the way, if you use the insult freedom of speech warriors, it shows how little you actually care. And it's ironic that you say this in a country that is the freest in the world. That little pesky First Amendment that allows your fellow Americans to insult each other on a daily basis also allows you the right to speak against it. By the way, your wish for it to be a misdemeanour de facto means you want to legislate speech. Boogie then starts non-apologising and telling us again how self-aware he is and how great it is he is not a politician before turning on the waterworks. You got no idea. Part of it's a misunderstanding of how weak I actually am. Part of it's not understanding how awful the world actually is. I never thought there would be so many people championing destroying people's lives with words. But here we are. Yes, you are a weak individual, allegedly. So what? I'm not in the business of pitying you because you don't like insults. I find it hard to believe that a guy like you does not have a thick skin after all the time you've been public on the internet, showing your face and features. I think we all get the gist of it here, guys, that Boogie is wrong on hate speech. But anyway, by the looks of it, from what he said on Twitter, between him and Dank, it's all cool. They agreed to disagree, and I think we should leave it at that, because next month Boogie will change his opinion like he has done before and will try to appeal to the free speech warriors. Until next time, see you later.